Hi guys, welcome back to my Patreon. So this morning I filmed this part of the like the forelock, like a little forelock tutorial, and now I went on camera and just drew this bit, and now I'm just gonna try and film this ear for you, because it is another like kind of problem area for some people. I know for me they're still quite challenging, but like the forelock. So yeah, hopefully this will give you a bit of like help if it's something you struggle with. So I just thought I would film it. So starting off now, it's gonna look a bit silly because it's gonna look like I'm just rubbing out the paper, but I feel like there's quite a lot of like smudgy areas on this ear from like the pigment or everything else that's been going on in this portrait, so I'm just going to try and remove some of the worst bits of it. Otherwise, if I don't do that, I feel like it can look a bit muddy, like the like smudgy. The paper's not clean basically, and if the paper's not clean, the pencil doesn't lay on top of it smoothly. Well, it does, but it just looks quite muddy and not the best. So I'm just gonna try and remove some of like the grime. Not the grime, that sounds awful. Just like some of the smudginess. Okay. So I'm essentially starting off as usual, going in with a base layer. So for Dino's ear, I am going in with Ivory at the moment, from my Polychromos pencils, using a medium pressure just to try and flatten the teeth of the paper somewhat, and then sort of trying to pay attention to the shapes. So if there's a light area, I'll just like fill it in with the Ivory. Like if it's like a sort of this kind of colour, I'll fill it in with Ivory, and I'll leave some of the darker bits, like the really dark bits, I'll just leave them black for now. So I'm essentially just trying to map out where the ear, like the contours of the ear go, just with a base layer. Not forgetting to remove the graphite lines that I've drawn in. I don't really think there's much more to say about this, what I'm doing at the moment. I'm just trying to map it all out. And obviously remove graphite lines and brush any smudginess, any flyaway bits away. Ears are tricky because there's a lot of little details that go into them, especially sort of when the horse is quite fluffy and the ear fluff is a thing, and it's not the easiest thing in the world to draw, that's for sure. So I'm just going to be working on the inner part of the ear for now, and I'm going to start mapping out roughly where the darker spots are going to go. I think, yeah, I will be doing that. I'm just going to put a little bit more, just so I can roughly map out where everything needs to go. As I said, just using like any bits that are sort of going to transition into a darker area, I'm just going to use a lighter pressure because I don't need there to be that as much pigment. I don't need, because otherwise the colours on top of it won't lay down as smooth, I find, if I go in too heavy with the base layer. Right, I've now picked up my dark sepia, which is a colour I'm going to use just to try and plot out sort of where the real dark areas are. So his ear is definitely along this edge, it's very, very dark. So I'm just going to almost trace that line that I've drawn with the graphite pencil with this really, really dark colour. And then pay attention to the shapes and stuff that I can see. So I know it's lighter over here, but this bit is really dark. So I'm just gonna reinforce that line a little bit. And then I'm going to pick up my coal grey and start working on sort of like the edge of his ear. So I'm not going to remove the graphite line at the moment because I need to, because where I'm going to go over it is such a dark colour, it doesn't really matter that it's going to stay there. I'm just using this as sort of guide. I will remove this graphite line though because it's a little bit darker than the other, so I don't really want that showing through. So I'm just going to pick back up my base layer. And now I'm going to start working in a way to try and, instead of, obviously I want the paper to be really smooth, but at the same time I definitely want to start showing some of the hairs that I can see, like little fine hairs. So I'm just going to use very short pencil strokes just to try and give the impression of some light hairs. Right, and now I've done that, I'm gonna again pick up my, so I think, in all honesty, I'm thinking it's a hard call to make, to be honest. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna follow this line with some ivory just so I don't lose it. And then I think what I might do is just use a very, very light circular motion to, because I'm gonna be going over it with some light flesh. But I didn't want to go just straight in with light flesh because it could look a little bit too pink. I mean, I'm going to be going over this area with a lot of dark pencil, but I don't think that that would be a smart thing for me to do at this stage. So I'm just going to try and blend the light flesh with Okay, now I'm going to do the same but back over here. So I'm going to pick up my, just follow that line up with some ivory colour, and then I'm going to, it's a bit orange, more orangey, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some light flesh colour, and then I think I'm going to go just bring it in a bit closer with the ivory. I feel like it's a bit like a mapping out game. You've got to kind of map out where things are going to go and then try and work out how you're going to work with it all. So I'm going to go straight in with burnt umber, and I know I haven't got any pigment on the paper here and no base layer, but I think I'm going to be okay to go straight in with my burnt umber pencil, just because I think it will work. So because it's such a dark area, so that kind of, it's a bit like a safety net. And as soon as you start popping in some dark and some lights, and that's when the ear starts to come together, and that's when you sort of pick up more confidence, I find. So I'm just also going to grab my dark sepia and do exactly the same. This area is so dark, so I just really want to start putting down some really dark area. And now I'm just going to pick up some burnt umber, and I'm going to be blending the two together. So I'm just going to go over some of the ivory colour I've put down, and then grab my dark sepia again. And blend the two together really well, using whatever motion. I mean, I use circular motions, but again, that's not really essential. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working down on this bit here. So I'm just going to put in some light flesh, and I think I'm going to go over it with some cinnamon, just to make it as pink as pos. Yeah, this is cinnamon. And I find this colour is just a really nice undertone for like any red, or any sort of like bright bay. Because then from here I can go in with burnt sepia, which is obviously like a pinky red colour, and I just find that it all works really nicely together. So I'm just going to bring in light flesh a bit further up here. Now, so essentially what I'm trying to do, I think instead of going in straight in with trying to do all the hair strokes, I think I'm just going to put sort of like a glaze of burnt sepia over the top, and then once I'm happy with sort of like how it's how the pigment is looking on the paper, like how the under paper is looking, almost how it's coating down, then I will start going in with some sort of more details, because then I can sort of blend things out on the paper as I go. So I know this area is a bit darker, so I'm just going to put a bit more pressure, and then I can blend it up with the colour I've used underneath, which will be walnut brown. if you struggle to remember what area, sort of what colours you use in an area, just write them down. I know it sounds, you know, a bit like something that's quite self-explanatory, but it really does help. I mean, I keep all the pencils that I'm using on the regular for this portrait, I keep them all separate in one area. To all my other pencils, that I don't have like a clean desk policy where I put everything away. At the end of the day, I will always try, if I'm working on a portrait, I will always try and leave those colours out, so I'm not like having to research for them and sort of go, oh, what colour did I use here? That's all still available to me. And if you do have to put them away, just put them in a separate jar, you know, don't make any more work for yourself than need be. So I'm just going in with cinnamon again and just blending out the colour that I've put down. Right, I've just picked up burnt sepia, now I'm going to go in with some burnt umber. And I'm just trying to not blend it out over the ear, but just so there's not like a harsh line, just make it look as fluffy and seamless as possible. I'm also just going to take some, this is Caput Mortem, I think that's how you pronounce it, and just, you know, create some fluff over the ear, almost like a red kind of fluff. So, and then dark, burnt sepia as well. Burnt sepia is a really great colour for any sort of like lighter areas that you have on the portrait, like any sort of not lighter areas, any bright, really bright areas. So it's sort of quite. If you just put the pencil down, like the colour of the pencil, without putting a base layer down, it will look. Well, just try it on a spare bit of paper. But if you put a base layer down underneath it, then the colour will come up differently, and I always find that if I put like this sort of like yellowy base layer down, and it comes out quite orangey, which is quite nice. Like it's an orangey sort of a burnt, oh, it's burnt sienna, isn't it? But you know what I mean, it's sort of, it's a really nice colour to work with. So I'm just following the direction of the hair, drawing in very sort of short motions, and then going in with my what is this? This is burnt umber over the top, and just darkening up any areas that need to be darker, and then obviously I can go back in with my burnt sienna. Sometimes what I will say is that having a sharp pencil for this isn't ideal. It's almost, you want it to be not too sharp, because the sharper the pencil, the finer the lines are going to be, and that won't make it look realistic at all. So I would say that is a definite no-go. I've just picked up my burnt ochre pencil because this area is a bit more orangey, so I'm just going to pop some of that down before I go back in with my burnt sienna. So again, just following exactly the sort of direction of the fur that I can see in the reference photo, blending it up into the burnt sienna a little bit just to make it look a little bit more seamless, and then bringing it down slightly. Pick up a light flash, and I'm just gonna go over, not too much over the orange because I don't want to ruin the work that I've just done, but almost just where things are getting a little bit darker into the centre of the ear, I'm just putting a little bit more, almost picking it down. Right, and now I'm gonna grab my burnt ochre. Sorry, this is burnt umber. And just, because this is such a dark area, so I'm just gonna pop down some. And I often, like, I'm struggling a little bit with this one because it is so dark to try and map out exactly like the transition of colours and exactly what colour to use. But if I want to brighten it up slightly, I'm just going to go back in over the top with some burnt sienna, and just go backwards and forwards, and then I'll end up going in with dark sepia just to blend it all out together anyway. But I'm just trying to I often find that there's like an interlocking section, like there's an area that looks like it's just not going to get any lighter, so I'm just gonna pop in some dark sepia over the top. And then start working down here. So I'm going to put some light flesh down, and then I'm going to go in with my burnt umber. Focusing on the centre, because the centres are very dark, I'm just going to go straight in with, and it's sort of like quite a blocky area, I'm going to just go in straight with dark sepia. So I can blend it out as I go. Right, so now I'm going to focus on this bit, so I'm just going to use my burnt sienna, and I'm not really focusing on, I'm obviously drawing short sharp lines in the way of the hair direction, but I'm going to go over the top with some burnt umber. I'm probably aware that, oh yeah, this is coming up on the viewfinder. And then going in with some dark sepia. Sorry, I realised what I'm saying after about a minute after I said it. I meant burnt sienna. And again, just draw little lines down in the hair direction, and then you can draw in clumps over the top to make it like fluffy with the darker colours. So like burnt umber. And then burnt sienna over the top. Sorry, dark sepia. Christ, what's happening? Right. Got my burnt umber, and I'm just going to blend this bit out as well. Because it's such a dark area, as long as you give like an indication that there's a transition of colour, then that's what's going to work probably best. I think I'm gonna go back in, keep going in with my burnt sienna pencil, and just drawing some, not some details, but just because I think ears will look, if they've got too much detail, I think they don't look realistic. So I try and keep them as fluffy but like minimal detail, if that makes sense. That's just what works for me. So I'm just going to draw over the top of the burnt ochre that I put down. I want to keep like a little bit of difference between obviously what's going on underneath in this ear and obviously what's going on in this ear, hence why I've sort of tried to create a bit of contrast with using a sort of a more orangey tone. And then I'm just going to start using some just me, or has Instagram changed in the last like couple of days? All of a sudden everyone's name is actually just coming through as their name rather than a username. It's very bizarre. It's freaking me out a little bit because all of a sudden someone will message me or just come up with a name. I'm like, oh. Okay, I'm now gonna go in with some dark sepia because I feel like this bit I need to adjust this bit, I need to get this bit right, otherwise I don't feel like it's actually gonna, I feel like I'm gonna lose it. So I'm just drawing in some of the fluffiness just with little short pencil strokes. And then I'm gonna get a medium cold grey colour. This is cold grey 4. I'm just gonna pop in a pencil at the centre. His ears are a little bit fluffy, so I'm gonna not draw them too fluffy because, as I said, I think I said in a previous video, whether it's this one or whether it was one on Patreon or whether it was one on YouTube, I'm not sure. But the reference base that I'm using for this is one where I think it was taken in like a transitional season, so he's not really fluffy, but he's a little bit more fluffy than the owner would like him to be. So we're sort of just trying to dull down or tone down the fluff at the moment. So I'm just going to go back in with some dark sepia and I don't want to, I feel like in a little way, because this is so dark, I do want to use black, but I'm trying to refrain at the moment. I'm just going to use some burnt umber just to blend this bit out. And where I'm sort of drawing, if you look at the direction of the fur on the ears, it sort of goes, it's sort of curved. So I'm just trying to draw it in curved as well. So I'm just sort of like using almost like a C shape, like an under circle, half circle, just to keep everything going in the right direction. Okay, now I'm gonna, just don't want to lose where it's all going to transition, so I'm just going to pop in a bit of a line here because I think that's roughly where it's going to go, and my burnt sienna. And exactly the same as how I drew this forelock. It's sort of just done in layers, sort of lots and lots of little layers. Sort of where you're just trying to map everything out. I'm gonna grab some cinnamon again and just blend over this bit a little bit, make it as smooth as possible. And then just grab my burnt ochre. Burnt sienna, and just obviously same as before, just drawing in the same direction as fur, drawing it in, like obviously the inner bit of the ear is a lot smoother than the outer bit, so I'm always drawing this in as a bit of a block and then drawing out some fine lines just to give an indication that the fur's going that way. And just making sure I'm paying attention to the shapes that I can see within the ear. So there's like some fluffiness that goes this way, sort of a bit of a line, and the fluffiness goes some this way. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm just going to grab my another pencil, it's under again, and light flesh. Just going to go straight in with light flesh because this area is so dark that I can get away with using quite a pink colour like this. And then I can start sort of trying to roughly map out where the hairs go when they're on the inside of the ear. So I'm just going to use some short pencil marks just to almost draw as like a V shape now. So I'm drawing some hair going this way, some going the other way. again, it's not an exact science. You just gotta, none of this is perfect, it's art. I know, there's no way art is perfect. So, obviously, just draw in like this. And then I can go in with sort of quite a darker colour. But before I go in with my darker colour, I'm just gonna carry on bringing this light flesh colour onto this bit. And then using quite a light pressure just to start establishing where some lines and hair is going to go, and then blending it over the top of the burnt ochre that I put down. And then blending it over the top almost of the cinnamon colour as well, a little bit. And obviously the harder you press, the more vivid and your marks will be. So when you're confident that you've built up a good enough base layer and you're happy with sort of like the undercoat, that's when you start going in with some heavier marks. And plus, when it gets to that stage, the paper can generally take it, and it doesn't really make, like, sometimes if I was just to do a very like a heavy line without putting any base or a lot of base layer down, it would look very obvious, whereas it looks just a lot more subtle and blendable when you put several base layers down. Okay. Now, I'm just gonna go in with some burnt umber. I'm just gonna, I need to blend these two together. So I think the way I'm gonna do that is put down some light flesh and then just use some burnt umber and just blend almost out a little bit with some, probably some burnt sienna as well. And then when it's all blended out, then I can go in with my pencil strokes, sort of like the final detail layers, in with my dark sepia pencil, and sort of create a bit of like a indication of some fluff, and then go backwards and forwards with burnt umber and other pencils that I think will work. I'm just gonna put down same protocol, going in with burnt sienna and then burnt umber over the top, and then it's going to come to this bit here, which is obviously where the hair direction sort of goes different, so I'm just going to change the way I'm drawing towards it, basically, if that makes sense. So instead of drawing up and blending out upwards, I'm just going to blend it downwards and meet the marks and sort of like just draw into the lines almost that I've created. And again, if it doesn't really look right, you can use like a pencil just to smooth it over, like cinnamon colour, then go in with the burnt sienna over the top a little bit, and then your really dark colour, so like burnt dark sepia almost, and then just to get the really depth down, and then just burnt umber. And just go backwards and forwards with your colours until you've created sort of like the effect that you're happy with. It's quite a harsh line here, so I'm just going to blend it out with some burnt umber. Okay, so after going in with some burnt umber, I think what I'm going to do is just finish off this bit down here, and I can work on this bit up here because it's bugging me now. I don't like leaving pieces, like little bits undone. So I'm just going to use some white flesh to fill this little gap that I've got. And just smoothing over some other bits as well, and then I can go in with my burnt sienna, and he's got a sort of like fluffier ears around here, so again, once I'm happy with sort of like how the undercover colour is looking, then I can start going in with some sort of finer details and building up the layers like I did on the forelock here. And really paying attention to the direction of the fur. If it's changing, like some bits of this, his ear is going down, the other bits are going up, so just I'm being very, very careful just to pay attention to the direction of the fur. And then when I'm kind of happy with it, then I can kind of go in, block out any areas that I think looks a bit stringy almost. And then darken up any areas, going in with some burnt umber and things like that. So I'm going to have to work on this bit down here because it is too much of a transitional contrast between this bit and this bit. So I'm just going to work on that bit for a while. I'm going to use burnt umber. I might have to go in some walnut brown as well because it's slightly darker brown, and it's a different tone of brown as well. Burnt umber's like got a yellowy kind of undertone, whereas walnut brown is just like a, I don't know how you can describe it really, it's just like a muddier brown almost. So I'm just going to go in and try and darken up any areas that need to be darkened, and then again, like what I said here, you sort of want to just not make it look stringy, so just fill in any gaps that aren't looking as blended as they should, maybe at this stage. And I can go in with walnut brown over the top. Just gonna Ears are so hard to work out what to do next for the best. Like, I think it's like a daily challenge that I have trying to work on these ears, you know. Anytime I mean, don't get me wrong, I really enjoy drawing the ears because I think it's really sort of like, it's such a key part of a portrait. It's almost as important as the eye, but it is a little bit stressful, you know, to try and get the tones right and the colours right and the blending right and make it all look, like, get the transition smooth, yeah, make it look fluffy, and they're a challenge. They really, really are. So I'm just gonna darken I think I'm also gonna use, this is burnt sienna from the Luminance because it's a really reddy colour, so I'm just gonna make it look a little bit more red and it sort of blend in with what I've done down here as well, so I use that colour down here. So I'm just gonna almost like do a glaze effect over some of the ear just to sort of make it a little bit more in keeping with the rest of the portrait. And then once I've done that, I'm just gonna bring down some more walnut brown onto the ear down here, and if it's looking a little bit weird, then I'm just gonna go over it with some burnt sienna. Right, and then this bit's quite dark, so I just want to keep making this bit gradually dark. I don't want to go in too quick because I don't want it to like regret the decision that I make. So just trying to subtly and carefully blend it all up. Just gonna put just a light layer of burnt umber down here as well, just to, because that's where sort of it's gonna start transitioning and getting darker again here, so don't want to lose that. So I think I'm just gonna put in some burnt sienna and just use like just go straight in with burnt sienna, and then I'm gonna go in over the top with some darker colours. I always find it weird. I noticed it a lot when I was working on some of the other bits of the portrait, but like this bit can look so good, and yet you can just like literally just go like this, and you're like almost like, oh no, I've ruined it, but there is a way to come back from it, so it's fine. As long as you don't go in too heavy. I couldn't do this with like a straight burnt umber without a base layer. I need to put burnt sepia down. Burnt sienna. And then I can go in with some, again with burnt sepia, but start paying attention to the direction of the fur. And then going in with some darker colours like walnut brown and things. So I'm just literally beginning to work out exactly where the fur is heading, like what direction it's going in, and then going in over the top with my walnut brown colour, and then blocking in some of the darkness, because again I just don't want it to look stringy at all. So, but one thing is this bit is a bit lighter, so I need to almost draw it in lighter but also keep this bit quite dark, so I'm just going to keep darkening this bit, and I'm going to use walnut brown. And then use burnt sienna. Then walnut brown again, just to start plotting out exactly where, you know what I was saying earlier about sort of like the U strokes. I feel like if the pencil's going, if you're using a dark pencil and the pigment's going down too harshly, then you haven't got enough base layer down, so I just need to pop down some more burnt sienna. Got that right that time. And then I'm also just going to use some ivory in here. And then straight over the burnt sienna. Make sure that's super smooth. So I can then go forward with my other colours over the top, and now this is where it gets a little bit more fun, because you can start plotting in exactly where the hair goes. So exactly the same as what I said earlier about the forelock, you just want to draw it in almost shapes. So you don't want to almost draw line, 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 line. You almost want to like draw it in little triangles. on some bits. I'm going in with my burnt sepia, dark sepia over the top, which is where it's going to make all the difference, and that's when you can really start picking out where, you know, your little hairs are. You need to remember to draw in almost like the shadows. Sort of like that, really. At the bottom of the ear, I always find it's got a bit more of a darker, sort of a bit bigger area. So I'm just going to make this a bit bigger. And really make the contrast stand out, so you can see like the little baby hairs coming through, the little fluffy hairs. As I said, I'm not drawing them, and try not to draw them as fluffy as what I see in the reference photo, because the owner doesn't want that. Like that, really. I just want to darken this bit up here. Just using some walnut brown. To create a bit of fluffiness. Drawing in some darker hairs here, just to make the ear a little bit more seamless. Ah. Sorry. Right. I just need to do this bit, and then the inside of the ear will be finished. Try and blend it out a little bit more as well. Right, I am back. I just went and had some lunch and feeling a little bit more refreshed. So I'm just going to start working around the outside of the ear, like down this bit for now. I think I'm just build up some of this and sort of join this bit together. It just feels like I'm just kind of drawing a bit of a puzzle at the moment. So I'm using light flesh and then going over it with dark sepia. I've still got the same problem. What I mean is burnt sienna. I really seem to struggle with getting these colours right. Like what colours I'm actually using and telling you about. So this is obviously burnt sienna, and you know, gonna get some walnut brown. I sometimes forget that obviously like I'm on camera in a way, and I often hold the pencil like that and I don't think you can properly see, so I'm gonna try and make sure. It's like a try harder be better kind of thing. So I'm just building the like a base layer here, and because it's quite a bright area, I'm just going in with buff titanium and then going over it with light flesh. Just because buff titanium is like quite a creamy colour in comparison to the ivory, which is obviously like well an ivory colour. And then I can sort of just blend out over the top with some burnt sienna. And some walnut brown. Picking out some burnt sienna. I'm just following on with what I was doing earlier, just building up the layers, building up the colour, following the direction of the hair, and just going over it with different colours to make sure it's really, really smooth. Okay, now I think I'm just gonna pop a bit more flesh colour down there and then some burnt sienna. I love how smooth the Luminance pencils make the paper. Really, really stands them out. And then just drawing the direction of the fur again. Now for this bit, now it's quite dark, so I think I'm going to use walnut browns off for now. Blend it out with a bit of burnt sienna. I'm just using again just a mixture of the burnt sienna and walnut brown to sort of create a bit more contrast, and then I think I'm going to go in with some dark sepia just to set it all off and sort of make the dark areas super dark and pull out some of the fur direction, and so it's just a bit more obvious. Like that. I'm just going to really darken off this line here. The ear is quite dark. And then again, I've got hair, I've just cut my family's hair, so I've got little bits of hair which is like still on me a little bit. It's quite funny because ever since we've been in lockdown I've had to learn some new skills, and cutting hair has been one of them. So I'm just taking buff titanium, light flesh, and then burnt sienna. And where this area sort of gets a bit lighter again, I'm just going to use like walnut brown and then fade it out a little bit. I'm just going to gonna put down some cold grey because I want to pay attention to where the light is coming from. So the light is going to hit the portrait this way, or the light is hitting Dino that way. Get some walnut brown. And some Payne's grey, I think, just to set it off a little bit. And blend the two together. It's going to sound a bit weird, but I really like the way that walnut brown and Payne's grey work together. I didn't think they would work, because obviously this is quite blue and that's blue and brown, but I used it quite a lot when I was drawing Marks and John Freestyle, and the combination actually really worked. It really made it something, like stand out a little bit. So just gonna use some Payne's grey on the outside of the ear because it's a bit lighter and a bit more blue. And then use the black over the top. Just always make sure that I'm going in the right direction of the fur. And then grabbing first, probably move you a little bit. I didn't want to do that. I want to use like a medium cold grey colour, cold grey 4. Just build up some like a mid-tone with that. before going in with some darker colours, i.e. like the Payne's Grey and the black. And then set it all off with just adding a little bit of highlight with some Cold Grey. It's Cold Grey 1, just to blend it and soften it out a little bit, just there. And then just going in with some more black, just to blend it out. Payne's Grey. Right, and then I'm just gonna grab some buff titanium and some light flesh. And some burnt sienna. I think also I might take my brownish beige for the side of the ear, because it's almost like a bit of a purpley brown colour on the where it's so light and the sun's hitting it, like the back of his ear. So I'm just going to blend and sort of create a line, a bit of a stronger line here, and sort of fluff it out a little bit with some burnt some walnut brown. And then remove this line along here. I think I'm also going to take some sienna 10%, and I need to, sorry, that's sepia 10% from the Luminance, and then just a tiny touch, like a very light pressure of burnt sienna. Because again, I want to keep this line like the edge of the ear almost, and this the back side, like the upper side of the ear. So I'm just going to try and create a bit more contrast with some dark sepia. And then some light flesh, and just I'm trying to keep very aware of exactly where I don't need to be putting the pencils, so I need to keep some of these areas really quite light. But obviously if I was just leave it like a stark area like that, it wouldn't look very good, so I'm gonna have to try and blend it very slightly by using some very light pressure, just to sort of fade it almost into the other area. And then I'm going to use some brownish beige. And some burnt sepia. Oh my god, burnt. No, just sepia 10%. Some buff titanium for the around his little ears. And then paying attention to the change of direction in the fur. Because his fur has got a bit of like a line that comes up here. I'm just using the sepia. Oh my, I need to stop today, don't I? I'm getting this all wrong. I mean, I am using burnt sienna, and now I'm taking sienna 10%, burnt sienna 10% from the luminance pencils. And just gonna remove the lines here. And then I'm going to go all in with my buff titanium. And then some light flesh. And some sepia 10% from the back of his ear, and just leaving, like blending it out slightly but leaving it a lot lighter in some areas, just to give a really strong illusion that there is, you know, a very bright like contrast almost. Pencils are getting on my nerves. And now I'm going to take some walnut brown and just blend out those two areas a little bit. And also some sepia, and just work them backwards and forwards. I'm using literally the lightest pressure right now just to create a bit of contrast. And then I'm just going to touch it off with some sepia 50. And some walnut brown. just to deepen everything slightly. I just need to pay attention to what's going on down here as well. I think I'm going to use some more burnt sienna just to match everything off together. And yeah, I'm just beginning to see a few more shapes that I just need to pop in. So I'm just going to use the burnt sienna and just build up the colour. Just darken everything off that needs to be a tiny bit darker. So blend that out with some walnut brown. It's going backwards and forwards to the colours that I've mentioned just to build up some more of the contrast, but I don't think I really want to do much more than that to it, to be honest, because I think that in a way if I overwork it too much it's going to look a bit overdone, and that's one thing I really don't want with this portrait. I want it to be quite a high contrast of colour, so obviously keep the lights light and keep the darks darker. So I'm just going to pop in some sienna 10% from the sepia colour. Oh my god, the luminance. I am having a nightmare today. I'm so sorry. I literally don't know what's happening. I think quarantine's getting to me. Right, just round this off a bit. Right, I think I'm probably going to end up calling it a day there. I'm going to just blend it out slightly a little bit more at the bottom, just so it's not as harsh. But I don't think there's an awful lot more that I want to do to it, like the ear. I think I'm pretty happy with kind of how it's come out. I want to keep the, as I said, the contrast between sort of the dark and the light areas, without overdoing it too much, but just yeah, I want to obviously keep it to the same sort of not standard, but the same sort of like depth as what's going on over here, because obviously it's going to sync together. So I'm just gonna feather this slightly because I do think it could go a touch darker, especially in this bit here. I just want to tiny bit more brown through it and just darken it slightly. But aside from that, I think that's probably where I'm gonna call it a day with the ear. I think I just need to put a bit of contrast in there. I mean, this is all going to come together hopefully quite nicely when I begin to put the bridle or the head collar in, because obviously that will really set everything off and set it apart. So I'm just going to add some dark sepia to some of the darker bits. Just really make sure that areas are dark, as dark as what they need to be. I think if I just pop a bit more burnt sienna in there, I think that's probably where I'm going to call it a day. Right, yeah, I really hope that you have enjoyed this video. I hope that you have learned something from it, as always. If you have any video suggestions, any suggestions at all, feel free to pop them in the comments, or just give me a DM on Instagram, DM me on here. For anyone who's got the Patreon app and is a patron themselves, like, I can't make the app work. I always have to look at Patreon on a desktop, which is really annoying, because I would like to have it on my phone. I know there is an app, but I just can't get it to work. And I know loads of other people are kind of like struggling with it as well, so I don't really know what Patreon is up to. But yeah, so because I know like people actually use it as like a social media platform, so you can do like the cams and stuff like that, but I just can't work out how you do it. Every time I log in, it just gives me like, it doesn't give me a creator account, it just gives me like as if I didn't have an account at all. So even though I'm putting the same details in, so I'm not really sure what's happening. But if anyone knows, then please do let me know, because it would be good to be able to sort of come on here a bit more. But yeah, okay, I will try and stop drawing and stop chatting. But I will leave it there for now, guys. I hope you're all doing really well as always, and staying safe and staying healthy. And I've now got to go and I'm gonna go for a walk, and I'm gonna take the camera, and I'm gonna be filming a video all about mental health over on YouTube, because I think mine has not suffered a little bit in the last couple of weeks, but it's definitely taken a bit of a hit. I've been struggling quite a lot. I was talking about it in my YouTube video the other day, so if you haven't seen it, I won't link it, because I don't think it's a good idea, but I don't know how to do that for Patreon. I don't know whether it'll work, but it's over on my YouTube channel, which is obviously just my name, so feel free to go check that out. But yeah, I will see you very soon for the next video. Lots of love, guys. Thanks as always. Bye.